Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin. This is a paid video for Gundog, and this is an emergency video. Time is of the essence, as you'll see. That's why I'm sweating so much. All right, he writes, "Hello, Austin. I'm seeking emergency advice because on Monday, August 31st, that's tomorrow, I have to choose one of two options for a trade deal, and I think that you will understand why I'm asking you out of all watch savants when you hear what the question is." Well, he's talking about the fact that pre-ceramics and 5 digits are my wheelhouse, specifically the GMTs and the Submariners, and that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. In summary, I have to choose a trade deal for an M-Series Rolex 16710 Pepsi with the caliber 3186 movement. And he writes in parentheses, no engraved rehaut, which, just for clarification, none of the 5-digit pre-ceramic GMTs ever had the engraved rehaut. With solid end links and no holes case, as an M serial would have. M serials are from 2007 to 2008. The 16710 ended in 2007. And again, it's a 3186 movement GMT Master II, and that's a new movement, okay? Well, it was at the time, and only those latter GMTs had it. The late Z serials in 2006 and the early M's in 2007, and then of course the 16710 ended. And before those last of the last GMT Master IIs, the 16710s had the 3185 movement. Now the difference between those two movements, the later one, the 3186, has the blue parachrome spring, and apparently the hour hand moves in a smoother way. Also, when you're setting it, the 24-hour hand doesn't jump around. That's known as the wiggle test, and it's a way to differentiate the 3186 and the 3185. Link in the description to me talking about the wiggle test. That's a pretty interesting video. So that's the GMT we're talking about. Very rare. The last of the lasts are always kind of special, but there's something that really makes this special, and it's the fact that it's got a new movement, and the new movement was really a paradigm shift in the line. I mean, it's like having the 6-digit movement in the 5-digit body. It's an amazing thing, very special. Not as special on the Explorer 2s, but really special on the GMT Master II. So we're talking about an incredible watch here, all right? That watch, and by the way, all of the watches you're seeing are the actual watches in question. So that watch or an M-Series Rolex 14060M with solid end links, holes case, and the Rolex rehaut. All right, so a 14060M, and I'm wearing a 14060. These came out 1990, ran until 2002, 12 years. 2002, they upgraded the movement, okay? The 14060M came out. Physically, exactly the same, but the M stands for the movement, and instead of having a balanced cock, it had a balanced bridge, okay? Now, the 14060M ran for 10 years from 2002 to 2012, okay? And this must be a 2007 or later because as you can see, it's a 4-line no-date sub. And the 4 lines came out in 2007. So the first 5 years, 2 lines, like what I have, and then the last 5 years, the 4 lines. Now, we'll talk about what that means in a minute. Okay, a little bit about condition. The Pepsi is in good use condition with no papers, but with an original box and was serviced by a Rolex authorized service center in February 2019. The Submariner is in mint condition and comes with original box and papers and will be serviced by a larger unauthorized Rolex dealer before I purchase it if I want. The two deals are fairly complicated, and that is not important, but basically it boils down to whether I want to buy the Pepsi at about 14,000 USD or buy the Submariner at about 11,000 USD. So we're talking a 3,000 USD difference. Both watches would complement my collection, although I already have a GMT complication but do not have a dive watch. So both watches will improve my collection equally, just in different ways. I'm in a very positive situation with two positive options, and there is no wrong choice. But I would like to make the best choice for my collection under the current circumstances. I could make a long list of pros and cons, but, and he underlines this, what I am really seeking your advice on is how well you think these two watches will hold their value during the short, medium, and long term based on the purchase prices I have mentioned. All right, so investment potential. You know, the money is important to him, as it should be. I mean, you know, if you like both watches, and then let the investment potential and collectability make the decision for you. And look, if you're just a horological purist and forget about the money, you don't have a dive watch, go for the 14060M. But hold, don't take the advice yet, okay, because that's not my advice. But if you're thinking about the money, then I think, as we'll see, the GMT is going to be a better option. And look, you say you have a GMT. If you have a Polar Explorer 2, or if you have a Omega GMT, that's completely different. I mean, a 5-digit Rolex GMT, it stands alone. It, in my opinion, rises far above pretty much any other GMT out there. All right, so let's talk a little bit about these specific watches. Okay, so the GMT rarity, okay, that's huge. It's a very special watch, and it doesn't have the papers, but it has the service papers, so you know everything's legit, and it's been serviced by Rolex. That's great. And the service papers are almost as good, okay? So you don't have to think about getting it serviced. It was serviced last year, and it was serviced properly through RSC. Now, we're talking a 3,000 difference, okay? And so let's just think of it like this, and this is just one point I have. Rolex charges about 1,000 USD per complication, okay? The difference between like a sub and a no-date sub and a sub, it's about $1,000. So if you think about the GMT, it's got the date, it's got the extra, time zone, and it's been serviced. And each of those is worth about $1,000. So right there, I think they're equal, but that's not even factoring in the fact that it's a 3186 movement GMT, and that's rare and that's special, okay? And as far as the price, 14,000 USD for a 3186, last of the last GMT, is a phenomenal deal. That's a great deal, okay? Now, what about the 14060M? Well, now first of all, let me just talk about this. The fact that it's a 4-line sub, I don't think that's a good thing. I think the 2-line subs, I think they're aesthetically better. I think they're going to be more collectible. I think the 14060Ms from 2002 to 2006, or mid 2007, would be a better investment potential. Okay, now this is an $11,000 watch, and it's, I don't know if these are polished, non-polished. I'm forgetting about all that, but I'm just looking at the pieces, and they look beautiful. By the way, all the lines are correct. But let's just forget about that, and just state the fact that this 14060M is, in my opinion, too expensive. Why is it expensive? They seem to be selling it as almost like a minty new old stock piece, okay? Which I don't think it is, okay? But they're kind of pricing it like it is. And that's because I guess it is so minty. So I can't imagine buying that watch and wearing it, okay? Again, they're pricing it like a safe queen, which makes me think that if you buy it, you kind of want to use it as a safe queen. But again, is it a safe queen? Well, I mean, it's more of a safe queen than this one for sure, but it's not new old stock, okay? And the second you start using it, it's very quickly going to start looking like a lot of those other 14060Ms on the market, and there goes that premium you paid to they're charging a lot because it's minty, is what I'm saying. So the usability there is gonna be a factor. And here's the big thing: it's just a run-of-the-mill 14060M. There's nothing special about it. Okay, so you pass up on that others will come along. You'll see. I mean, hey, I can find a bunch for you here. You can get on Chrono 24 and find a bunch. The GMT with a 3186 movement, that's special. That's a great price for that. And really, what separates collectability and not collectability is rarity. And that 3186 movement GMT is incredibly rare, and it's in great condition. So, assuming that the 14060M is in, even if it's in better condition, put it this way, let's just do a quick thought experiment so you know how strongly I feel about this. Let's say that this is an unpolished 14060M, and that the GMT with the 3186 movement we're talking about is polished. I'd still go with the GMT, okay? Because the polish is going to be from Rolex, and nobody will know. All right, nobody's going to know because they do such a phenomenal job. And you could probably pass it off as unpolished, but all the lines are going to be perfect. And again, it's that the rarity and the 14060 is just, it's not special. Okay, its specialness is just in how well it's been looked after, and that really might be a pain in the ass because you might want to stick it in the safe. If you're going to stick anything in the safe, stick that 3186 movement at GMT. So there's that, okay? And then also, look, the sub is pretty ubiquitous. This is a ubiquitous steel professional model watch, and I think the general consensus is that the GMTs are more collectible. And, that's reflected in the modern watches. There's a hierarchy, and the top of the top is the Daytona, and then, arguably the second is the Sky Dweller. And then after that, you got the GMTs, okay? And then you've got the dive watches, okay? And after that, you've got the Milgauss's and the other steel, non-rotating bezel professional models. So, that's reflected, I think it's reflected in the pricing on the gray market as well. So just, among collectors, I think, 14060 and a 14060M, good investment, but, they just don't have the desirability of the GMT, and that's going to be a factor in the coming years, okay? And I think there are less GMTs out there, I want to assume. So without a doubt, by far, I'd pay the extra $3,000 for that GMT Master 2, okay? M serial, fantastic. And you know what? If I was faced with that kind of overpriced 14060M, I wouldn't get it, okay? I wouldn't get it. But look, I don't really have $14,000 to spend on a watch right now. But if I had the option to buy this watch, I might move some money to make that happen. Personally speaking, I probably would, because it's a very special timepiece right there. All right, and he just ends with this. One possibly relevant piece of information is that I have learned for a fact that gray market dealers are sitting on large numbers of pre-ceramic Pepsis, and they're immediately willing to give up to 10% discounts on their publicly listed prices for an immediate all-cash deal. You can assume that prices I have been quoted are after negotiated discounts. Does this mean that there is a bubble in Pepsis at the moment? And if so, would that bubble affect a caliber 3186 Pepsi? All right, let's talk about that. Okay, so, the bubble is an interesting thing, and again, we always have to talk about the bubble in regards to the modern watches, and we can't conflate it with the pre-ceramics, okay? They affect each other, but, what happens with current Pepsis, we don't know, okay? There's just so many factors. They're still making them. The pre-ceramic market is a lot easier to get your head around because it's finished. All the watches out there are out there, okay? They're not going to be making any more. We don't know how many are stuck in safes, right? We don't know how many, a guy could have 500 and fled them. We don't know, okay? But we just know that the price rises on the pre-ceramics on the 5 digits are more organic, okay, than they are on all this weird kind of hoarding and stuff that's going on with the modern pieces. And look, yeah, I don't doubt that there are dealers that are just stockpiling these ceramic models. And is it ever going to affect the pre-ceramic? To a degree, possibly, but not much. Not enough that the 3186 movement would ever be, really affected by that. That's special. That's, again, and by the way, I just didn't even talk about this, and it just occurred to me. 14,000. That's like what normal 3185 GMTs go for here in Japan. So that's a great deal. All right, have I said that enough? So yeah, but back to the hoarding. Yeah, look, and a lot of people look at a little tangent here. A lot of people look at Chrono 24 and they say there's 600 Daytonas. No, you don't know that. There are 600 listings for Daytonas. Look, I mean, I could list a Daytona for a certain price, and if somebody bites, I could go into Nakano and pick it up and scalp it for 200 USD or 500 USD. All right, so we don't know how many there actually are, and Paul Thorpe talks about people doing this, and I reckon that he does it himself. And perhaps, if you look on certain websites, you might find his James Cameron, right? He talks about just putting a price up there, just throwing it up there and seeing what happens. And I think that's what's happening. Okay, so we don't know how many pieces are actually being sold. We just know how many listings there are. Okay, but anyway, the bottom line is I don't think any sort of deflation of the Pepsi ceramic bubble is going to affect much the pre-ceramic bubble. And even if it does, you're good because you've got a special 3186 movement watch. Okay, that's your no bubble is going to pop that. The biggest fear with those idiosyncratic watches is the fact that people would just forget about them. Okay, that's sort of the death of collectability. Indifference, not caring, shrug of the shoulders. I mean, again, another tangent, but the Tudor Hydronaut. I mean, the Tudor Hydronaut 1. That's a beautiful watch, revolutionary case design. It's, it's you can buy it for 2,000 USD. It's a magnificent watch. Like it doesn't. I don't understand it. The world just sort of looks at it and goes, yeah. Shrug. Okay, that's a $2,000 watch. It's Rolex quality. It's got an ETA movement in it. It's a little piece of history right there. And but what's the death of it? Nobody really knows about it. Okay, it's just sort of obscure. People are like shrug of the shoulders. And so that would be my only concern, that people would sort of just forget about the 3186 later Z's M serial GMT Master 2s. Is that likely to happen? Not really. Because the internet doesn't forget. There are enough articles and whatnot on it. So I think it'll always be a special thing. All right, a little bit more. Maybe there is a bubble in 14060M prices as well, for all I know, but I don't have any relevant information on this. The other possibly relevant piece of information is whether whatever is going to happen after September 1st to 14060M prices. Will they languish or begin to rise because they become 2 generations old if there's a new Submariner? And if so, will it be sooner or later? I don't know that this last question is very speculative, so I suggest that you narrow it down by assuming that the Submariner will be updated at some point in the near future with a new movement and changes to the case and possibly dial and bezel color, which, it's happening like day after tomorrow. And look, I mean, we've got leaks, okay, and it appears that it's going to be growing in size, okay, and this is going on leaks, so we don't know for sure, okay, by way of, I want to say, Rolex Passion Report. All right, but look, whatever happens, again, I don't think it's going to really affect the 14060M market anymore. I mean, again, those are the blue chip stocks. Those are the long game, slowly go up. The 6 digits, those are the more, .com stocks that kind of go like this. And, what's going to happen if in fact the Submariner does grow in size to, the last 40 millimeter sub, that could go like that. But as far as any sort of, effect on the pre-ceramics from the ceramics, I think is negligible to a degree. I think people will little by little, be driven perhaps to buy the 5-digit markets, but watches. But again, it's again these are the watches, the 5-digit ones that are doing this real slow and steady, and that's the best thing. But yeah, let me know what you think. Hey, he paid me some money to ask me, but who the hell cares what I think? I'm just one guy. The real benefit in making these videos is you guys weighing in. I mean, you guys are watch guys. You have your own opinions. I miss stuff. So help Gundog out. Drop a comment and tell me if I'm right. Tell me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, what would you do? We're talking a 3,000 difference for a fantastic Pepsi 3186 movement. That's where I'd go without question. Let me know what you think. Take care. Thanks for watching. See you next time.